In today's video, I'm going to show you how to counter every damage dealer in Brawl Stars. Starting with Shelly. Shelly deals the bulk of her damage at point blank range, which means you should try as much as possible to keep your distance from her. Brawlers with high mobility like Stu can hard counter Shelly. Next is Nita, and she's going to be harder to counter since she has a gadget and a star power for certain situations. In Heist, try not to feed her super. Throwers with decent range and damage like Dynamite or even the newest brawler Ziggy can keep their distance and prevent her from getting her super. Outside of Heist, a high DPS brawler like Spike or Chester can deal with Bruce, but Nita is surprisingly difficult to counter. Next is Colt, and he shoots in a straight line, making it difficult to hit brawlers with high mobility. Stu can be a good counter, but Miko really gets the job done. This is probably the most unfair interaction in the entire game, and a good Miko can enter this matchup without losing any health. Next is 8-bit, and he's the definition of a powerhouse. With long range, high health and high DPS, he can feel unstoppable sometimes, but his biggest weakness is his movement speed, being the slowest brawler in the game. He also shoots in a straight line, so high mobility can be useful, but taking advantage of that very slow movement speed will be the best and easiest way to counter him. Snipers can walk, but brawlers like Squeak and Ziggy can make it difficult for 8-bit to dodge attacks with their area control. Rico is one of the more difficult brawlers to counter. Miko could be effective, but Rico would most likely be using his multi-ball launcher, which could do devastating damage point blank. Throwers can abuse their ability to shoot over walls, and Sprout to be a pain to deal with. Stu can still be effective, being able to dodge his shots that mostly move in a predictable pattern. Carl is one of the most defensive brawlers on this list. He charges into enemies with his super and can even escape close calls with his flying hook. His biggest drawback is his super being very easy to interrupt, and you should use that to your advantage. Any brawler with a knockback, stun, or even this weird thing that Draco does with his gadget can counter Carl, but the best brawlers for this would be Mina and Buzz. These two can cycle supers really fast, with Mina throwing enemies into the air and even grounding them with her blown away star power. Buzz has a lot of health, and he can use his super to get up close to Carl, easily winning the interaction. Next is Colette, and her main attack and super deal more damage depending on how much health the enemy has. Basically, the more health the enemy has, the more damage Colette is able to deal, so you'll obviously want to use brawlers without a lot of health. A high damage thrower like Dynamite has low enough health to deal with Colette's attacks. He also does a lot of damage with Colette not having a lot of health. Lola is pretty simple. She does a lot of damage, and her clone can multiply that damage. A thrower like Barry, Barley, or even Larry can be strong against Lola, but picking Bell could make them not even want to use their super. Her shots can bounce off Lola's clone, giving her extra value from each shot. Jaeyoung can also be a good pick because of his piercing main attack that is made more effective with his star power. Next is Pearl, and she does a lot of damage. Her main attack is more spread out, making it easier to hit, so high mobility brawlers aren't your best bet. You should try to outrange her as much as possible using a brawler with a lot of range. You should also look out for any smoking effects coming out from Pearl. This is an indicator that her heat bar is fully charged and she can deal up to 70% more damage. Pearl is also the tankiest brawler in this class, meaning Colette is a good counter for her. Poco can also be a really good support pick, negating any burn damage that Pearl could deal with her gadgets. Tara counters a lot of brawlers, but this time she's the one getting countered. She deals more damage up close, and her super makes it very easy to get free kills. You'd want a brawler that outranges her like Janet, but I found Buster's shield with his Kevlar vest star power to be very effective for countering Tara's super, since it negates any knockback. Next is Eve, and she can deal a good amount of damage with decent range. Her super can also wreck any brawler with low DPS. Try as much as possible to get as close to her as possible with a high HP or high DPS brawler. Her unload speed isn't very good, so you can use that to your advantage. Kit can use his super to stun Eve and gets an easy kill, and he does enough damage to deal with her hatchlings. Keep in mind, Eve has a jump ability which she can use to escape, so not every ambush would be successful. RT is one of the hardest brawlers to counter. In his regular form, he can go toe to toe with other marksmen and even bully tanks at a distance, but with his super, he can bully assassins that try to get him. Plus, he can just kill everyone with his hypercharge. Yet again, throwers will be effective. Hiding behind walls and keeping their distance to deal damage can really be hard for RT, especially if RT uses his super, which makes his lower half completely vulnerable. Barley, Larry, or even Juju on water can deal with RT. Next is Clancy, and he can deal a ton of damage. He also shoots a ton of projectiles from his main attacks and super. If you want to beat Clancy, don't feed him his super or levels. A high mobility brawler might be useful, but only if you can dodge really well. Throwers are also effective, but his hardest counter has to be Buster. Buster's shield bullies Clancy's super. The only thing more satisfying than blocking a stage 3 Clancy super with Buster's shield is definitely hitting that sub button. If you've made it this far into the video, I wanna hit 2.5k 5k by the end of the year and I'll need some help. Next is Mo, and I have like 30 minutes of total playtime with him. Plus he's not a very popular brawler, but if you somehow need help to beat Mo, use high DPS brawlers like Bull or Daryl against his super. I feel Miko could be really useful against him since his damage is pretty inconsistent. Lumi is one of the most annoying brawlers to deal with, but if you can get up close with a high DPS brawler, you can counter her easily. Bonnie would be my brawler of choice since she outranges Lumi and her super, especially her hypercharge, can easily get rid of Lumi. Next is Mina, the strongest brawler without a hypercharge and arguably the strongest brawler in the game. If you're up against Mina, try to dodge her ranged attacks and use a brawler with good DPS. So if she approaches you, it'll be easy to get rid of her up close. Otis would be my brawler of choice since he can just silence Mina with his super and he has good range and DPS. Next is Spike, and it's very difficult to dodge his attacks, which will be a learning experience for every player. Any fast brawlers like Max, Stu and Jaeyoung can dodge his attacks, but Carl and Squeak can deal as much damage at a distance and even get rid of his plant life gadget pretty fast. Surge can feel unstoppable. Wait, scratch that was like a year ago. Now Surge is pretty easy to deal with even without a super hard counter. Just don't feed his super or he'll really become a problem. Use brawlers that have a spawning ability like Nita, Tara, Spike or even Ruffs. These can block shots from Surge, making it difficult to charge his super. Last but not the least is Chester. He deals a lot of damage up close, meaning you just have to outrange him. Brawlers like Janet, Amber, Stu and even Gale can put Chester in his place by consistently keeping their distance. Anyways, that's how to counter every damage dealer in Brawl Stars. Let me know what brawler class I should do this for next, and thanks for watching.